So, 30 seconds to change your life. Really, 30 seconds, Cluffy? Yeah, 30 seconds. The example I show in this podcast episode is probably a minute long, but that's only to get you into the process. And then once you know it, you'll get it. And things will change for the positive. Think of things that you want to achieve, or goals, dreams. Bring them with you to this episode. Yeah, that'll be good. Have a listen after this.
This is Personal Development Unplugged with Paul Clough.
In simplicity, there is genius.
In simplicity, there is genius.
Morning, friend. How you doing? Well, morning. I say morning. Basically, because it's morning for me. I haven't been up that long, but I'm feeling good. I'm feeling good. Now, the very first thing I want to say, 30 seconds to change your life. Sounds clickbaity, doesn't it? And if I was to admit it, is a little. It was a little. But, and I don't normally use buts, but I am now. Quite a lot of buts, actually, because it's going to negate the thing I just said before, because I'm going to teach you a way that 30 seconds spent will change your life. So, question to you is, I have now. I'm not going to tell you what it is until we get to the end, by the way, because that's what we do. Because we need to understand this thing and then just do it. So we will do the process. Don't worry about that. I'm going to teach you exactly what I'll teach you. I'm going to share you the way that we can do this anyway. And it only takes 30 seconds. And have you got 30 seconds spare in your day? Because if you're like me, you waste a lot more than 30 seconds, don't you? Yeah, you do. You know, it's going to be twice as long as 30 seconds we waste. You know, when you go down that rabbit hole of YouTube, rabbit hole of Instagram, or whatever you know, Twitter and all that stuff. I'm on them. You can find me there somewhere. But we do waste more than 30 seconds. And therefore, we could use those 30 seconds, couldn't we? But you're going to say, Cluffy, what for? Well, tell you in a minute. You see, I was listening to a podcast the other day, because that's where I get a lot of my inspiration from. And it was Dr. Joe I think his name is Dispenza. It's not Dispenza, is it? I'm going to look that up sometime, but it's Dr. Joe. We call him Dr. Joe. And he was telling how he does workshops. And in those workshops, he gets people to think of something. I'll tell you in a minute. But when they do this thing in this workshop, people were experiencing massive physical changes. They were making massive physical changes. In fact, healing themselves. And he said it wasn't just the odd one, it was happening more and more. And he was saying that really the thing that was creating this in themselves, he wasn't doing it because people heal themselves. No one cures you. You, I believe, can heal and cure yourself. Always have a doctor on standby, but you can. By repeated meditation and visualization. And I think his meditations were like guided meditations, which I guess to some extent is visualization, isn't it? I think a guided meditation is very much with a visualization element in it. And this meditation visualization was how they wanted to feel eventually. He didn't say it in words like that, and I had to model it out and extract it, and this is what my take on it. But it was really that feeling of the wish fulfilled that we talk about, and we've talked about it for years and years and years. The feeling of the wish fulfilled, the feeling of the wish that you want. What would it feel like when that wish comes to fruition? What's a wish? Well, a wish can be a goal. It's an aim in mind, something that you want to have happen. And if you could know what it feels like when it has happened, that's what they were visualizing on. And again, I guess, to me, I did it on a previous podcast. I think it was a 5-minute quickie. Like science proving us right again. It's nice I think his name is Dispenza, with a Z, not Dispenza. But Dr. Joe, confirming or affirming that what we share here, what I share, seems to work. And we've been sharing it for, as I said, for ages. And I know it works. You know it works. But it's nice to have other people say and give, I think, the real, they're seeing real physical changes, healing in people healing themselves by getting that wish fulfilled, the feeling of the wish fulfilled. And you see, I got an idea. Sometimes this thing about your unconscious mind, you see, it doesn't really know the difference between what's real and what's imagined. No way, you'll say. And I'll say, yes way. Of course, an unconscious mind can know the difference between real and unreal, imagined and real. But actually, it can't. It doesn't. I want to prove it to you. Now, as long as you haven't got a bad back, you could do it with your neck, but you might have bad. Don't just do this gently, okay? Gently. Remember, I'm not a physician and I'm not your physician. I'm a therapist. I'm not your therapist. All that stuff. But this is just a little bit of visualization. But you're going to move first. And what I want you to do, so you're going to have to stand up. Ideally, stand up. Make sure you've got an arm's width around you. Okay? So if you just could move. And what you do, you plant your feet. Nice and easy. Stand up straight. And put your arms by your side. And normally I do this. Don't know if you could hear that, but it's me putting my arms by my side. And then, keeping your eyes open, slowly lift your arms, both arms up in front of you, so they come up straight, so they're shoulder level, sticking out in front of you. And you can see between the gap of your fingers, your hands. And I want you to turn to the right, keeping those hands straight, and just keep turning and turning and turning. And notice, as you look through that gap in your arms, your hands, at the spot on the wall or somewhere where you're looking, at the point where you think, that's about it, can't go much further. I don't want you to strain. It's not a straining competition, but just go to that point and you go, oh, that's about it. And then slowly bring your hands back so they're out in front of you. And then put them by your sides. And then close your eyes. And I want you to imagine. And imagination is visualization. Visualization is imagination. Put them together. And if you see it 20/20 vision, that's good. And if you don't see them at all, but you're just aware, that's good. And anything in between is good. I want you to imagine lifting those arms slowly, just as you did before, but with your eyes closed this time. And you're going to keep your hands by your sides. But you're going to imagine lifting them up slowly, just as you did before. And then imagine turning to the right again. And as you turn and turn and turn, you see that spot where you got to last time? And imagine turning, just imagine turning 300 millimeter, 12 inches, 1 foot, whatever, that much more. Just imagine doing it. And when you're there, keeping your eyes closed, imagine coming all the way back again. So your arms are out in front of you, nice and slowly, and then let them come down to your sides. Imagine them coming down to your sides. And now imagine them again, lifting out in front of you, straight out in front of you, shoulder height. And imagine turning to the right again. And as you imagine turning and turning, you see that spot where you went to the first time, and then you imagine that spot again going past that spot, which was 12 inches, 1 foot, 300 centimeters, and keep turning even further. And imagine turning to maybe another foot. That's right. And when you're there, just imagine coming all the way back past that spot, past that first spot, all the way down to in front of you. And when your hands are in front of you, imagine them coming down to your sides, like that. Last time now, one more time, eyes closed. Imagine lifting your arms up. Don't do it real, just imagine. Imagine your arms coming up in front of you, nice and straight, turning to the right, going past that spot, that first spot. Go past that another foot, another 300 centimeters, then past the second one. And imagine as if you were like an owl, like their heads turn. Nearly keep going. So you're all the way behind you. Just imagine, as you could, turn all the way behind you. And even a bit further. It's so easy to keep turning. You could, if you wanted to, go all the way to the front again, but I don't want you to. I just want you to get to that lovely spot and then turn, come back again. Come all the way back around you, all the way back to that second spot, then that first spot, and then that very, very first spot, and then come all the way in front, hands out in front of you. Imagine your hands then coming to your side, and you're there. Now, open your eyes. Lift your hands up with me. There you go in front of you. Now turn to the right and see how far you go. Yeah, see? You went bloody further. I know you did. You did if you imagined it. I know you did. And put your arms back now. I know you're going, wow, Cluffy, that's amazing. But the thing is, it's not amazing. It's the power of visualization. It's the power of imagination. But it's also your unconscious mind not realizing what is real, what's imagined. Because it imagines you've done it. Feeling of the wish fulfilled. Could you have done it before? I think you could if you believed it. If you'd done this before, you'd probably do it again. A little bit further. Yeah, isn't that interesting? So that's just me. I know that took a couple of minutes. Maybe a bit longer, really. But it's interesting to do. You can do that with people. Just making sure there's no problems with backs and things like that. Because it's a gentle thing. A gentle thing. But here's the thing. And it's only to prove unconscious minds have trouble spotting the difference between real and imagined. And also that feeling of the wish fulfilled, because you felt, You see, I've always been taught the conscious mind is the goal setter, which is what we did. The unconscious mind, I told your unconscious mind what to do. Your conscious mind is the goal setter. And consciously we did that, and then the unconscious mind is the goal getter, and it did it. And because your unconscious mind is the goal getter, because it has access to all your resources. What are they? What are the resources you talk about, Cluffy? Well, they are your beliefs, your values, your skills, your behaviors, your emotions. That's what I call resources. Everything, every experience you've learned, all those wonderful learnings, all your skills, beliefs, imagination, emotions, they're all there. They're all resources. And if we start putting the two together, we can start taking away anxiety and fear, the fear of failure, and kind of create a feeling, I know what to do. I've done this before. Because can you see, from that very first example, if we started imagining instead of turning, but being able to do the thing that you want to do, what would happen if your unconscious mind couldn't or doesn't know the difference between what's real and imagined? What would happen? Well, it doesn't take Einstein, who we love here. In simplicity, there's genius and all that stuff, because this is so simple as well, by the way. I don't think it's rocket science to think, well, if we started to imagine things that maybe we even haven't done, but how we want to do them, and what we'll do is get the feeling of having done them, that feeling of the wish fulfilled. Neville Goddard, hundreds of years, early 1900s, I think, when he wrote about the feeling of the wish fulfilled, your unconscious mind will start to feel, well, I've done this before. And when your unconscious mind has that knowledge, the understanding, fear and anxiety must disappear, mustn't they? Because there won't be fear of failure, will there? Because you can imagine you've done it before. Or you will start to believe, well, I can do this. And if you did it often enough in your mind, what would your unconscious mind begin to think then? I'll leave that for you to think about. But the thing is, what would happen if you wrote that sucker down? Now, what do I mean, that? The things that you're anxious about, the things that you fear failure of, or the things that you want to do. If you wrote those suckers down. Not, oh, I'm frightened of this. No, this is the thing I want to do. I want to be successful at talking to people. I want to be successful at a meeting. I want to be successful. That's all it is. Where do you write them down? Well, you could have a dream book. Told you before, I created a wonderful dream book for myself. I even had them printed and I did sell a few. But it's a lovely dream book, but it was all to do with writing down your dream and really writing. I might even go through this as a separate episode, but the things that it would allow you to do. What would that dream allow me to do? Because when I thought about what it would allow me to do, I got that feeling of the wish fulfilled. That's what it was. But a dream book doesn't have to be big. It could be one of those smallest little notebooks you buy. Because all you're going to do is write the dream down. I want to achieve this. Or just the thing, because you're going to know you're going to want to achieve it because that's the thing. You could do what I do sometimes, is get one of those 3-inch by 1.5-inch index cards. I've been using those a lot lately. I actually wrote something down about myself today. I'm going to explain that to you sometime as well. I was a bit of a bollocking, I guess. Sort myself out. But they're great to remind you of what you want to do. I don't know why I said it like that. It's what you want to do. No, they're great for reminding you what you want to do. They really are. What else could you do? You could do anything. I'm going to explain a few other things, I think, later. But use them to remind you about your goals, your dreams, and make them feel like expectations. Because once you start writing in a dream book, and you know the process you're going to start doing, and you're going to start to get the results by doing it this way, every time you write in a dream book, to remind yourself of what you're looking for, your goals, what your aim in mind is, you're going to have an expectation of success. Now, when you have an expectation of success, that's another feeling of the wish fulfilled, isn't it? An expectation of success. What would that be like? I nearly swore then about getting rid of the fear of failure. Anxiety. Because when you've got an expectation, isn't that like your intention? And when you have an intention because you expect it to happen, that's where confidence, inner confidence comes from. And you can't have inner confidence and anxiety and fear. You can have a little bit of, I'm not quite sure, but that comes with the territory. But it's not that massive anxiety and fear you have of failure and imposter and all that stuff that we talk about. And you see, there's a real big reason for writing it down. I know I harp on about this, but especially when it comes to dreams, inspirations. You see, intuition doesn't always come when you sit down and think, I think I'm going to be inspirational. I think I'm going to be intuitive today. I'm going to be creative. And I'm going to get this blank piece of paper. Or I'm not even going to get a piece of paper. I'm just going to think of them. Well, if it did happen, and occasionally it does, but very occasionally, normally if you sat down and said, I'm going to be inspirational, intuitive, and think about my dreams, sometimes it's bloody hard. That blank piece of paper is like a big echo chamber. And it goes, whoa, what? It goes blank, doesn't it? It's a blank piece of paper, blank mind. And it does work, though, because if you really force yourself and go, I'm going to sit here and just bloody wait. I think when I say it to my unconscious mind, it's down to you now. Suddenly my pen will start writing. It does work that way occasionally. But it's a habit. Again, it's a bit more like an anchor, I guess. I sit down with a dream book. I suddenly start, my unconscious mind goes, now it's time to dream. But you've got to get there. You've got to have that dream book. You've got to have those index cards. You've got to have something. Now, the thing is, but intuition, as I say, doesn't always come when you command yourself to think. For me, it's normally when I'm listening to a podcast. I'm walking along, listening away, or in the gym maybe, doing something, listening away, and I think, what about? So I take something from and it starts me thinking of other things. So I'm not copying, because if I ever take something from somebody else, I will always give that person credit, like Mr. Joe Dispenza, doctor. I will think about things. But then here's another thing. When you're in the shower, in the toilet, you're suddenly sitting there or standing there, something comes into your mind. And you have to write that sucker down as soon as you can get out of the shower, as soon as you can finish what you're doing. But if you're walking along, you've got to put it somewhere. So sometimes it's having that little notebook in your pocket. I don't know why I tapped my bum then, but that's where my pocket would have been, is. You got Evernote, you got a note app, you got a napkin, piece of paper. You can even record a note on your phone, couldn't you? So you have no excuses. And you see, when you do that, when you have the time, 30 seconds was what the lovely clickbait title I said was, when you have the time, only 30 seconds, we can then visualize it and feel that feeling, the feeling of the wish fulfilled. But you have to have something to bloody visualize, don't you? It has to be something you want. And that moment of intuition, if you don't record it in some way, shape or form, you will bloody forget it. And that's not an embedded command. It's just a fact of life. And then sometimes you'll get it again and you still don't write that sucker down. And guess what? I think the multiverse universe says, oh, sod you then. But there's no excuses that we don't write it down and then allocate that time. 30 seconds, Cluffy. Yeah, 30 seconds to dream. 25 years ago, I think it was nearly 25, maybe 23 years ago, we started Cambridge Hypnotherapy and the website cambridgehypnotherapy.co.uk. Still going. My son Luke is running Cambridge Hypnotherapy. He's been doing it for years now and making a wonderful success of it. But when we created that website, I saw these words, and they were words on a bookmark with these two little hands coming out. Not out of the bookmark, obviously a picture. And they had the words, dream, create, excel. And I put it on the footer of that very first website. And yes, we've had some redesigns. But you can find, even in the current website of cambridgehypnotherapy.co.uk, dream, create, excel. And somehow then, I knew that inside. Knew it then, knew it now. If you dream, you can create, and when you create, you can excel. The feeling of the wish fulfilled. So here's the thing. I know in the moment it's very difficult to have something to dream about, but I know you've got a small dream, a little goal, something you'd like to be able to do, something you want to achieve. And let's start small. We can always work onto bigger things, but if we start with small things, small steps, baby steps, we get to know the process. We get to understand it. We get to make the process our own. And when we do, then we can start to get onto bigger and better things. Not to say the little things aren't better or as equally as good, but sometimes we think bigger is better. But, there's maybe more important things because that's what they feel like, because they're a bigger dream. So if you've got 30 seconds, well, it's going to take a little bit longer than 30 seconds because I want to go through the process a little bit deeply with you. It might take at least a minute. So if you've got a minute where you'll be able to close your eyes, and it's not hypnotherapy, it's not hypnosis, it's going to be visualization and feeling. That's all. But obviously, if you've got your eyes closed, it does mean you don't need anything needing your attention. So obviously driving and things like that, just make sure nothing needs your attention so you can do this. And what I want you to do is close your eyes. Just takes away the distractions. And bring that thing to mind, that goal, what you want to achieve. And as you think about it, I want you to imagine having achieved it now. So see yourself out there doing it. Have a little movie screen maybe, or just look down on a scene of a you down there doing the thing that you want to have done. And just notice from over here, looking at them, how well they do it. And maybe they're interacting with other people. And notice how well they interact if there's other people there. Or if they're doing something, how well they're doing it. Having achieved this dream. And then just float into them. Imagine going all the way, and you're in that dream now. You're in this visualization. You're looking through your own eyes, having achieved the goal that you thought about, the dream that you thought about, the thing that you want to achieve. You are achieving it. You're in here now, looking through your own eyes, seeing what you'll see with crystal clear clarity. Notice everything you'll see when you've achieved this dream. Notice maybe there's some pictures in your mind. Maybe there's sounds. Maybe your internal voice. What would that be saying? Having achieved this dream. And what would you hear on the outside? Maybe other people talking to you about that success. And when you see and hear everything you'll see and hear when you've achieved this goal and you're here now, feel that feeling. Feel it fully in every cell of your body. And as you feel that feeling, double it. Let it double, get so intense that you really feel this feeling of the wish fulfilled, the feeling of having achieved this goal. And just have your internal voice say this or something better. And then just let it go. Come back into you, into wherever you are. Come back into your body. Because you're here now. Back in the real world. Back in the now. And you see, that was the first time. That maybe took a minute or so. But the thing is, if you did it again now, you could do that in 30 seconds, couldn't you? Because it's literally closing your eyes, imagining and bringing to mind what you want to have happened. The final step. It's always the final step, not getting there, it's having got there. What would it feel like? And you go there and look through your own eyes, having already got it. If you want to just get it going, you can actually imagine. I only put that step in there to get you. It's another step to see yourself doing it and then going to yourself. But once you get used to this, you'll be able to go straight into that final step of achieving it. Being there, looking through your own eyes. Always look through your own eyes, listening through your own ears and feel those feelings. Maybe there's a taste of smell, but feel all of it. Everything. And then say this or something better. Open your eyes. Make sure you're in the room, in the now. 30 seconds. Now, the thing is, I know from my experience, I've got more than 30 seconds to spare in a day. And I'm not saying put all my 30 seconds to spare and do this for 1 hour on the run. No way, Jose. I don't know where Jose comes into this, but no way. I only want you to do this for between 30 seconds and a minute. 30 seconds is long enough if you want to indulge yourself and wallow in that feeling. Yeah, awesome, but don't need to do any longer than a minute. 30 seconds to a minute. But the thing is, how many times could you do it in the day? How many times have you got 30 seconds to spare in the day? Yeah. You see, I tell my clients to do this. You see, when they change, we're in the hypnotherapy room, they do the work, and they feel the change. So they are literally in that moment, in the now, feeling having changed. So they've got their wish. And how grateful they are. And I get them to remember that feeling. And to remember that feeling every hour for 30 seconds. Every hour they're awake. And I go, what, Paul? 30 seconds every hour? 30 seconds every hour. That is not long. And okay, if you're busy for a 2-hour meeting, you can miss it for that and then do it at the end. And all I do is say, if you've got a free day in that way, or you know that you're going to be okay, just put an hour alarm on. Every hour. Dream. Feel the feeling of the wish fulfilled. This or something better. Now, if you think about it, and what I'd like you to do, if you could do that and do it for 1 week, 7 days. And at the end of that week, review. And you'll notice things will be different. They have to be. And they won't be worse than they they ever were or could have been. They will definitely be better because they have to be. Let's not prejudge, just simply review. How are things gone? Are they better? Are they worse? Ask the question. And if you think about it, what's the worst that could happen in that week? If you did that for maybe, I don't know, say you've got 6 hours of your working day that you can allow 30 seconds of feeling of a wish fulfilled. Because those wish fulfills are feeling bloody good, aren't they? They feel good. Having succeeded, achieved things that you want to achieve, feels really good. So if you did that 6 times a day, what's the worst thing that could happen? Well, the worst thing that could happen is you'd feel bloody good for 30 seconds 6 times a day. That's got to be worth the money. Just feeling good every hour. Now, if that doesn't make just a difference in your life, feeling good, I don't know what will. But I do know then it will make a difference because your unconscious mind, remember, doesn't realize the difference between imagined and real. And then you get to think of, well, I can do this. I want this. It becomes a value. You're going to start anticipating a good result, aren't you? Expectations. Because once you expect, you'll be setting your intention. Because when you do this, you're setting your intention. You're setting your intention, this is what I want to have happened. And it feels good. So your unconscious mind goes, well, if it feels this good and it's pretty safe, and I think we've done this before. Can you imagine that? Your unconscious mind goes, well, we've done it before, nothing to be anxious about, and you're saying this or something better, we could actually make it even better. You have to do it, don't you? Don't you think so? I made a note. I said, 30 seconds. FFS. You work out what the FFS is. But 30 seconds. Come on. We've all got 30 seconds, even if you only did it once a day. And if you only did it once a day, you're a pussy. I don't know where that came from, Cluffy. But we can all do it for 3, 4, 5, 6 times a day for 30 seconds. And if you did it for six times a day for 30 seconds, that's 180 seconds. That's 3 minutes a day. That's all, 3 minutes. If you haven't got 3 minutes to spare, do it in the back of a cab. Do it in the bus. Do it at the tube, the subway. Do it in the park when you're drinking your cup of coffee, having your lunch, having a tea break, just before you go to bed. Bugger, I can think of thousands of times well, not thousands, loads of times that you've got 30 seconds to spare. Waiting for that kettle to boil. Waiting for the coffee to percolate, whatever coffee does. Rest, enthuse, whatever. So many different places you can do this and feel bloody good. And and all we're doing is using what works, because when we think of the negative, which we normally do to protect ourselves, but and the unconscious mind doesn't know what's real or imagined, so you start worrying even bloody more because we think it's happening. We're just using that in reverse, but using it for good. It's a superpower. Use it for good. So if you catch yourself start to imagine things not being the way you want them, just stop. Say no. This is how I want it to happen. And if you need to write it down in that dream book, how you want it to remind yourself, I'll do that. And please, 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 I know for some people, they're going to think, really? It's this easy? Well, don't be fooled by how easy it is. Because intellectually, of course, it's nearly swore again, isn't it? It's easy. We don't do things which are complex. Well, it's simple, not easy, because you still have to do it. It's not difficult to do, but doing sometimes. Knowing one thing, doing is another. Knowing and doing is mastery of your life. So I hope you're enthused to do this, motivated to create Because then you can start thinking, well, what do I really want? Because I've got these dreams, but now I know a way of getting them. And it's not the law of attraction, but you could call it the law of attraction. If you believe in the law of attraction, you'll see how this fits in. But I think also what happens is your unconscious mind will start looking for ways to create this feeling. It's called a reticulating activating system, which is biological. And your unconscious mind or your mind will start to look for those things that match that feeling. Because that's what happens. Oh, I bought this brand new car. I don't see many of those about. Oh, bugger, they're everywhere. Oh, I've learnt this brand new word. It's really good. Oh, everyone's using it now. Didn't hear it before. Didn't see it before. That's what happens. That's a reticulating activating system, RAS. And I had to really think, why is this important? And I didn't have to think very long, because I like to know why this is important. Is there any value in this? Well, of course, because it just bloody works, doesn't it? I knew it before. I know it now. And I want to share it with you. And talking about sharing, I want you to share this with people, obviously, but get good at it. But the thing is, if you could explain this to somebody, and that's not that difficult, you will find how well you know it. And it just embeds it in your mind to remember it. But of course, when you're sharing it, you'll be sharing this episode, wouldn't you? Or sharing the Personal Development Unplugged podcast. Because that's what you do. Because if you could do that right now, I mean, you could imagine sharing this episode and how good it feels. That would be a good thing to do. Now, that's me just taking the pick. No, but it would really do this podcast a great service by paying it forward, sharing it forward with everyone you know. I'd be so, so grateful, because I'm grateful about your time. Don't know how long this has gone. I didn't think it was going to last as long as this, but we got deeper into it. And thank you for Dr. Joe for just tweaking what we already know by giving us examples of how well it works. Yeah. If there's anything else, if you'd like a longer bit of visualization on this, let me know. feedback@personaldevelopmentunplugged.com. That's the email address. Or anything else. Just pop it on an email. Only comes to me, only bugger here, and we'll sort something out for you. That's what we do. Okay, no more of anything else. Not for the moment, because I'm going to get my dream book out and begin to fly away in my dreams. Because it's time to fly away, my friend. Speak and see you next time. Bye-bye.
Warning, you are now leaving the unplugged mind of Paul Clough. It's time to fly on your own. Be brave, my friend.
Personal Development Unplugged.